to organize this seminar. Theme of the seminar, you know already, traditions of resistance and so I am giving knowledge that I could remember little about Assam history and Indian history. And on that little knowledge, on the basis of that little knowledge, I want to cite some glimpses of resistance and voices of freedom of the Northeast people till independence of our nation.
Welcome to live chat.
Before that,
Net too slow.
I want to thank the organizer
একটু নেট থাকে স্যার এয়ারটেল যে একটু আসতে
and I hope that today's event promises an engaging and enlightening experience for all of
আপনার
us.
তো নেট তো আনা ব্যাক
Let's open our minds and hearts
এটা দিন নাম্বার আপনি এটা যাব ডাইরেক্ট
and
ইউটিউবে
come
যাব
to learn new facts and share knowledge. I would like to warmly welcome
ইউটিউব চ্যানেল
our guests, speakers, visitors
আছে না
who have generously agreed
এতে
to
কমেন্ট দিব
share
পাৰে হইব ঠিক আছে না
their experience with
এই
us.
লিংকটো শেয়ার করে দেব
Let us all take advantage of this opportunity to grow and learn
লিংকগুলো
together.
ডিলিট করে দেব
We have an exciting lineup of projects and activities for the days. So let's make the most of it. Thank you for our organizing committee for putting this seminar together and for all the hard work in it. Let's all work together to create a welcoming and inclusive environment where all voices are heard and respected. So let's begin the journey to learn and discover together. Thank you all for being here. Now I want to cite some glimpses of the resistance and voice of freedom from Northeast region of India, where in the hands of the British with the occupation of Assam in 1826. The decade of harvest control of the land, till then the region remained mostly independent, though many times faced many incursions, but targeted them namely the biggest resistance you could remember was ensured by Mahatma Gandhi Farooqan among generals against over immigration. You know, that the independence spirit of the Northeast people showed immediate challenge to the British rule was the root of participation in the British struggle. This was revealed in many ways by the different groups and anti-colonial uprisings. Freedom struggle in Northeast India was a multifaceted movement where diverse tribal communities desired and leaders fiercely resisted British colonialism to protect their autonomy, land rights and cultural sovereignty. This rich regional history encompasses early armed rebellion, citizen uprisings, and active participation in the nationwide independence movement. Anti-colonial uprisings, you can cite some glimpses of that. Armed rebellion, 1828-1830, led by Damodar Kaur and Anjoy Bhatt, restored armed monarchies following the Treaty of Mangalore, Iraq and Britain, and their associates during the Second World War. and Catholic Religion, 1829, 1843, led by Duke William Singh against construct routes and annex RCs. Naga Herga movement during 1930s, initiated by Aitur Jagannal and carried forward by Rani Raidu against British rule. This was a social religious movement to protect Naga culture and heritage from Christianity and Western rule. Freedom uprising, 1893-1894, conquest of India under the banner of tribesmen, whose traditional tribesmen are refused to pay excessive colonial taxes and launched a non-revenue campaign. Then Portugal uprising, you know, have been called the Battle of Portugal. Rajan Jalwalwa, Sampardon, January 28, 1894. Really, 140 armed prisoners were killed when British forces embarked on a peaceful assembly in the Bharam district of Assam, protesting exploitative land revenue rights, and this day is observed as Bishop going to honor the divine and ultimate sacrifice of the Lord. Daru is uprising, 1872. Our Pagan Salman led Daru warriors in an attack against the British forces encroaching upon the use of present-day Meghalaya. Kuki rebellion, 1917-1919, the Kuki tribes in Manipur and surrounding regions revolted against British force recruitment right during the World War I. Anglo-Manipur War, 1891, Prince Secondary Singh led a but ultimately doomed defense of Manipur sovereignty against advancing forces resulting in his execution. Vigilant resistance are fighting statewide within the Vigilant resistance became legendary figure by spearheading some of the ideas during the resistance. His contribution to India's independence primarily involved fire, localized resistance against British colonial expansion rather than mainstream political movement, unsung heroes of Andhra Pradesh, Mudiriva, and many more. Five of the revolution to 1939 ignited the district battle of India against the Tripura also during the independence movement, Tripura functioned as a critical center and operational hub for Bengal revolutionaries, Viras Bhatia, Usumansi, Indian Government, Tripura Promotion established structured underground network organized youth groups and disseminated messages. All these are realized by the people as resistance and out of freedom and our final days from our government days and Gandhian movement of freedom of the all over everything India gained independence after a long struggle and support from the Northeast Korea. So, this is the root of Northeast peaceful independent Bajapura in Lhasa. I am everyone, the guy, speakers, and start there before we elaborately and I think you will be elaborate with this and one.
মই এটা কথা পাহৰিছিলোঁ মই মোৰ প্ৰাক্তন ছাত্ৰ নৱকৰঞ্জন দত্তক বিশেষভাৱে ধন্যবাদ দিব লাগিব অনুষ্ঠানটো আৰম্ভণিতে মংগলাচৰণ কৰি আমাৰ হঠাতে কৰিলে অনুষ্ঠানে আমাৰ অনুষ্ঠানটোৰ গাম্ভীৰ্য যথেষ্ট বঢ়াই তুলিলে মোৰ প্ৰাক্তন ছাত্ৰ ৰঞ্জনক ধন্যবাদ আৰু মৰম জনালোঁ।
Thank you, Dr. Sir, for this kind words of encouragement and also for enlightening us in a very summarized manner the Northeast history of resistance and freedom voices. We now move ahead to a very significant event of the ceremony, which is the release of the book of abstracts. May I request our esteemed dignitaries to kindly release the book of abstracts of this seminar. Thank you. We now move ahead to begin the plenary session of this conference. Before the address of the keynote speaker, Professor Rajiv Henry, I would like to introduce Sir in a very brief manner. It is indeed my distinct privilege to introduce our chief guest and keynote speaker, Professor Rajiv Henry, who is the academic registrar and professor in the Department of History, Guwahati University. Professor Henry is a distinguished historian, researcher, and academic administrator, a gold medalist in history from Guwahati University. He also is the recipient of the prestigious Dr. Surya Kumar Bhuyang Award. He earned his doctoral degree from Dibrugarh University and has since made significant contributions to the discipline through his teachings, research, and academic leadership. His areas of expertise include modern Indian history, environmental history, oral history, peace and conflict studies, and the history of Northeast India. An accomplished scholar, he has authored and edited several books, published extensively in reputed national and international journals, and successfully completed research projects funded by the University Grants Commission and the British Council as well. We are indeed privileged to have him with us today, and we look forward to benefiting from his valuable insights. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Professor Rajiv Henry to deliver his keynote address. Sir.
with chairman of the governing body of Pandit Dindayal Upadhyay Adarsh Mahavidyalaya, Professor Pankaj, esteemed resource persons, Dr. Jyotiraj Ashok from Kumar University, Dr. Hemanta Sharma, Dr. Budin Chandra Hazarika, Dr. Indrani Kalika, Dr. Fonidor Mes, who is also a principal, but he is also from history, the principal of Kharapetya College, Dr. Satyendra Sharma, again, he is also from history, he is the principal of Sripazar College, Dr. Bhupen Kumar Das, principal Diet, Dalgaon, and most importantly, the patron and the person behind all of this that we see today and for which we are all actually gathering here. Dr. Lakshmi Prasad Hazarika, a very dynamic person, a dynamic principal of Pandit Dindayal Upadhyay Adarsh Mahavidyalaya. I must thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here. Though I must say that I am not very cut out for the occasion, mainly because of the fact that, as you can see, I have been introduced as the academic register. So today, instead of talking of freedom struggle, if you have asked me about NEP, I would have actually told you more about it. And we are all seized with the confusion about the 4th year and so many other things. So I'm not in the right frame of mind to be academic, so I keep on shifting. I have not left my classes. I equally take my courses in my department. And yesterday I was just, till late night I was evaluating the scripts of my course because those scripts cannot be given to any associate because this is a very new course. And I failed that course. So please don't expect too much from the keynote. But I must say I am privileged that the chairperson of the governing body made my things quite a lot easier by giving a very descriptive account of the different unsung heroes of Northeast India and the freedom struggle that went on in the different states in Northeast. And the principal, Dr. Hazarika, also mentioned about Manriurang and the other participants of freedom struggle of this Dalgaon region. Dalgaon itself is a very, very important part. And I think all of the resistance has actually started from this region. There are a lot of, even in the Assam agitation and later on you will find that this Dalgaon region has its own, a different character of its own. The way it participates, the way it resists. So I must congratulate the college for actually holding this seminar. And it's good to see that ICHR has come forward. They have already held a number of seminars on unsung heroes of the freedom struggle as a part of the Amrit Mahotsav. And then I think this will add to what has already been done. And I must also congratulate you for choosing such a topic because this topic is actually not focused on the freedom struggle. It takes us back because we have seen the traditions of resistance and voices of freedom, resisting the Northeast contribution to India's struggle for independence. So these are all connected. And you have the picture of Lashing Portugal somewhere. These are all imagined pictures, by the way. You have the picture of Maharaj Pithu somewhere. So we actually normally look back at our history to find our own heroes so that we get energy energized from them. And that is the reason, that's the need for history actually. That is the requirement of history. Now traditions of resistance have been there all along. Whenever a group of persons entered this state, entered this valley, Brahmaputra valley, there was some resistance. There will be some resistance. Whether at the individual level or at the group level, at the tribal level, at the community level, there will be resistance, and that resistance was there. And the voices of freedom in the pre-colonial past were not adequately recorded, so we don't know much about it. The problem, as you said, about some of the events that took place. And some of them actually came normally. So, that is something that we should always remember when dealing with a topic like this. And Northeast India itself is a colonial construct. We did not have any concept of Northeast prior to the coming of the British. Even the Assam that they created was quite different from the pre-colonial Assam that we had. It's not that we did not have a concept of pre-colonial Assam. If you look at the Persian sources, and if you look at the history just before or just at the beginning of the Mughal invasions to Assam, you will find that there is a concept of Raja of Assam, which was actually given on the Buragana, that is Pratap Singha, by the group of kings and petty chiefs from the Brahmaputra valley of the western part that went to Gurgaon in view of the Mughal oppressions and the sort of alien rule that they faced, and gave leadership to the Raja, to the king, to take forward. And it's actually, that's the beginning. You can find it in Swarnavanta's book, A Comprehensive History of Assam. These things are very elaborately said. And of course, we all have our Google with us to find. But some of the things that I will try to say is not yet within the purpose of Google. Of course, some of them are. Now, therefore, Northeast actually is a concept that grew, and it is a debatable concept. And Assam, for the colonial Assam, it kept on growing actually. It kept on growing till 1826 was Yangabu, and till 1894, till the Mizoram, the Losai Hills became part of Assam. Excepting Manipur and Tripura, everything was included in the administrative Assam. And then later on, after the partition of Bengal, Assam became a part of Eastern Bengal and Assam with the capital at Dhaka. And colonial Assam had its capital in Shillong. So you can see, you can imagine what was going on. But in the larger context, we all need to remember that when we talk of the India's freedom struggle, do you know how many actually ICS or covenanted British officers were there in India to rule over India? Do you know the actual British soldiers who were here and the police were here to rule over India? This vast country, which included Pakistan and Bangladesh. There were only 1,000 ICS officers, covenanted British, that ruled this entire country. There were only 20,000 actually British soldiers who were here. India was conquered with the help of Indians. India was ruled with the help of Indians. Below these 1,000 officers, there were 130,000 non-covenanted officers who were mostly Indians, who ruled India. So, this very small group of people coming and ruling over this vast country, not only ruling, changing everything, changing the way you think, changing the way you do things, everything. They not only rule over the political landscape, They even affected our culture, our mindscape. How was it possible? Even if you go back to the pre-colonial times, how many Mughals came actually? How many Mughals came? At the end of the 500 almost years of the Sultanate and the Mughal rule, you will still find the numbers did not actually increase to a large extent. How was it possible to rule this country? There was a famous saying by, not saying actually, it was in one of our books. Umila Thakur said that, the basic thing is, there is a lack of loyalty towards something like a nation, which is there in China. So the loyalty was actually directed at some local level. So what happens at the top, nobody bothers. Who rules at the top, nobody bothers. The farmers are only concerned about whom to give the tax, whether it is in cash or time. So they know the local satraps. They don't know the person who actually had taken over power at the top. So it is like a pyramid, It's like a pyramid. সাধারণ মানুষ এখন না খেতি করা মানে খেতি করে আছে ট্যাক্স দিয়ে আছে It is at the top that the power changes. So this is something that we need to deeply understand when we talk about the India's freedom struggle. And then how did it change? It changed because these 130,000 covenanted officers, many of the Indian sepoys actually, who were there, they changed their loyalty from the British to something called the Indian nation. So India as a country, we grew together by resisting the British Raj. It was a nation in the making. As we started to fight the British, it started to grow. Starting from those, sporadic resistances that we had in Northeast India and in other parts of India. There were many resistance movements, but they were not united. Even during the 1857 uprising, had all Indians actually got together, the British would have left. But the Sindhiyas were with the British. Many of the Indian rulers sided with the British. That's the reason why they could stay. So these are also things which are part of the history of India's struggle for independence. But later on, as the movement grew momentum, as the Indian National Congress from 1885, they started their movement, but then it took momentum after Gandhi came. And you will find that from the non-cooperation movement in 1921 or 19, that part of the history, to the civil disobedience movement, and then to the Quit India movement, it was a gradual progression. More and more people were getting incorporated of different, ideologies. It's not that there was a single ideology. A lot of ideologies were there. There was a lot of people who actually sort of became part of that movement. And the loyalty which was towards the British, the loyalty with which they ruled India, that was actually slowly unsustainable. মানুহবিলাকৰ যিটো অনুগত্য লাহে লাহে ব্ৰিটিছৰ পৰা এটা বেলেগ কনচেপ্ট ওলাই আহিল। And in all of these small movements, the leaders, they all, play their part. They all play their part. And Northeast India has been a part of this struggle. But unfortunately, as it is, Northeast India doesn't find a proper place in the history books, all India history books. It's a fact. I would have loved if Umji was here or somebody from SHL was here, because I keep on telling them You have the only mention in the NCERT book is about Shankardeva in the Bhakti movement. There is a small part which is written. And I told them, you see, we write Shankardeva as S-A-N-K-A-R, not S-H. So, it is there. There is no mention of Nasik Bhagwan. Forget about the Aum dynasty which actually ruled for 600 years, and it is next to the Cholas and Pandyas. And we have to study about the Cholas and Pandyas, which is a very, very long part. So those things are there. And therefore, these type of attempts to have a seminar focused on Northeast India and its freedom fighters is therefore very important. It not only helps us to find out the other small resistance which are there. Many of them have already been mentioned by the principal and the chairperson of the governing body. But there were even more. In the Demand Hasa, you have quite a few now. Starting from Amrosa, and there are other persons who are there. So, these are there, which needs to be all mapped in and brought into the discourse. But there are other certain very important significance of these heroes that seldom gets mentioned. Recently, we had there was a seminar in Shivsagar on purely water. And few days after that, we had the Assam Divas celebration at New Delhi. I happened to be there. And I told them that the first political figure to be hanged through a trial in entire India is Shahid Gulli. They were quite surprised. We have heard about Nanda Kumar's trial and his execution. As one Asila Nanda Kumar, but that was a case of forgery. It wasn't actually political, it was more of some type of economic thing. So these are matters that we have to actually highlight. They are the first officially executed freedom fighter comes from us. You have the proceedings of Newton's court, how this order was given. You have a proper order of execution. So, this is something that needs to be, you can say, focused more upon at the national level. And you have persons like, we already know about Kanapada. But Kanapada was a minor, and there were not too many ladies who were actually executed during the freedom struggle. We have Bhuveshwari Pukulani, we have Sohit Kanapada. This again is a very important factor coming from a very adjacent place of Dorong, Bhopal. So, these are facts. I mean to say, facts are okay. But interpretation of facts is necessary. We all know about Sohit Kalibuga, but then that he is the first. Of course, we have to do some more research. Maybe there might be somebody somewhere. But till now, we have not found anyone officially belonging to a political person who was actually executed. So, those are the things, or that Kanapada, being a minor, getting guns, killing her, maybe she is the only one during the 1942 Quit India movement. So these are aspects of history. It's how we put it. Again, Sohit Kukhalpur. Sohit Kukhalpur was falsely implicated. He is a person of very high dignity. who did not actually, he was very dignified till his end, you all know that. But if you look at the history books, how many executions took place during the 1942 Quit India movement in the manner of Gopal. It's very difficult to find. So these are events of great significance, which we all need to keep in mind. And maybe even within Assam, when we write about them, we have to write in that way. I'm just starting the main issue because it has already been spoken about. And I really like about the seminar that we have written. The national seminar seeks to revisit and critically examine the rich traditions of resistance, indigenous movements, and freedom struggles that emerged from the northeastern region of India. The seminar aims to highlight the invaluable contribution of the people of the northeast to India's freedom struggle for independence and fosters scholarly discussions on neglected dimensions of national history. So you have actually very carefully crafted. I have a lot of appreciation for the way you have done it. And I thank all the faculty members, the students here, the participants from all over the country for participating in it. Before I actually conclude, I think I must also highlight that there are many other smaller incidents, very interesting incidents that took place during the freedom struggle. I am not talking about the resistance prior to in the pre-colonial period. I have just indicated about some of them, and I also stated the real reason, actually who resists. It is not the person who is plowing the field that resists. The resistance was at a different level. But during the Indian freedom struggle, it was a mass movement. The resistance was from the grassroots. That's the difference. And there is an incident which I wrote a paper on long back when I was teaching in Dibrugarh University. Because at that time, we used to give them assignments like today. Assignments I have been giving to my students. And I was teaching this paper on freedom struggle. And I told them that, you do one thing, go in your localities and find out someone who actually participated in the freedom struggle. And try to get an oral history from them. Or you can get hold of some, new generation from that family. And how do they remember your forefathers who actually participated in the freedom struggle? So, of course, some of the students were very smart. I did not get what I actually was seeking. But there were many who were actually very, very sincere. And they really went to the grassroots. And there were some very interesting findings. Because what happened during the freedom movement was that, there were also other petty cases which were there. And all of them, whether it is a criminal case, it's a political case, it's a civil case, they are all put in the prison. But when the freedom came, when we became independent, on that day, whoever was inside the bars, all became, released as freedom fighters. So, এনেকুৱা দুটামান কেছ ওলালে যে ক'লে যে আচলতে সেইটো গৰু চুৰাই আছিলে সোমাই আহিছিলে এতিয়া ওলাই আহিলে তেওঁ মানে পেঞ্চন পায় so আক্ষেপ কৰিছে so these things interesting things happen. Then there was, I think you must have heard it now by now, there is a place called Sarigam. Sarigam is a moza in Jorhat. Sarigam moza was declared independent in 1942. PDUAM এজন মানুহ আছে তেওঁ প্ৰেচিডেণ্ট অফ চাৰিগাঁও বুলি কয় তেওঁ নিজকে প্ৰেচিডেণ্ট বুলি কয় so he became president he actually had a council of ministers also he appointed a council of ministers and Northeast actually was a very interesting place also because of the fact that it is not only Gandhi which was there in the minds of the people it was also Netaji which was there in the minds of the people because everyone knew because words were going on that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was coming from this side and we will be liberated and during the because second World War was going on there were small leaflets very small pieces of paper which were actually scattered from Japanese plane that Netaji was coming and this is a fact because I have interviewed people who have actually seen that and I could not obtain a copy because most of the people that I interviewed these are very far-flung areas got destroyed during the 1950 floods and after. So it used to have a few lines from Netaji. So and I interviewed and this was happening all over because when something is thrown from the air, it actually scatters over a long distance. And the people in the villages who got this, they actually read it. But in the town, in the Dibrugarh town, there were, announcements made earlier that there will be poisonous pieces of paper which will be thrown from the air. Please don't touch it. If you touch it, you will have, a very, difficult or different, ailment and you will die. And these are facts. So many things are happening because Dibrugarh was a non-combatant zone. There were American soldiers which were there, which again they found were there to liberate from somebody. But then, because and there was Subhash Chandra Bose coming on the way. So it was under those circumstances that Lokeshwar Borua comes and declares himself to be the president of Sarigam. And he stayed there for some time and then all of them were arrested and they were put behind bars and they got released only after independence. So this is, and there is still a memorial in his name. If you go to Sarigam today, so now President, if you go to Sarigam and ask President of Horton, so these are, happenings, but then you have to contextualize. What I am saying about Lokeshwar Borua is that, how could a person think like that? How could a person think like that? And that, because Mahatma Gandhi was also talking of village republics, he was also talking of Karoya Maru, which is of course not a very non-violent type of slogan in 1942, because it was like, you do whatever you can, but you do, but we want the freedom. So because they have given so Lokeshwar Borua being acted under those circumstances and declared himself to be president. Had sometimes I think, had more Moses actually done it together, perhaps the British would not have been able to resist. It would be difficult because they were having a very difficult time fighting the World War and also trying to suppress the national movement which was going on. Anyway, so it is a very long story, and it has got so many shades in it. There are so many ways we can interpret it, so many different angles from which we can look at each of these events. There, traditions of resistance, voices of freedom, and revisiting Northeast contribution to India's struggle for independence is actually something that we have to keep on doing. For us, this Sadhinata Ki Amrit Mahotsav has to go on. Because as I said in the historiography, we do not figure at the national level. We have to keep on doing this. I said this also during the birth 400 years birth celebration of Nasik or Kokon and Vigyan Mohan. Then also I said, that you see, that problem is not there. Nation in the making is there, but today we talk of Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat. If we have one Bharat and Shresth Bharat, we need to actually revise our history to make it more inclusive. Inclusivity has to be okay. But that inclusivity will come if we, at the ground level, give up to the persons in Delhi, sitting in Delhi, some real solid facts which they cannot deny. And one of the facts is, as I said, Yoli Kokon, Nakota Purva, the significance of their sacrifices lies in the very uniqueness. And maybe I don't know if there is a footnote about Professor Purva also somewhere. But these are important matters of discourse. So I think I will stop here today. Staying so near to Kokorodaka, this area, which is very historical. And I thank college authorities, the organizers, the family. I try using the word family of a college. For giving me this opportunity to be here, to actually cross the threshold of the administration to academic. I am speaking not as academic minister today. I am speaking as a person who loves history and who teaches history. I am looking for this opportunity. Thank you for this opportunity. And I am sure with such a galaxy of resource persons here, and so many papers and so many people, participants from all over the country, this national seminar is going to be a grand success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It was indeed very interesting to hear about the unheard and quirky facts about the freedom struggle of Northeast India, particularly Assam. Your endeavor to highlight and bring forth the unsung figures from the Northeast in the struggle for the independence is quite noteworthy, and your advocacy for an inclusive history of the nation will indeed benefit scholars of history today and for years to come. We now move ahead to the first resource person's address. It is my privilege to introduce the resource person of this seminar, Professor Jyotiraj Pathak sir. Professor Jyotiraj Pathak is a professor of political science at Kumar Bhaskar Burman Sanskrit and Ancient Studies University, situated in Nalbari, Assam. He currently serves as the Dean of the Faculty School of Social Sciences and has previously taken on responsibilities as the academic registrar at the university. Prior to joining Kumar Bhaskar Verma Sanskrit and Ancient Studies University, he was a professor and head of the Department of Political Science at Borland University, Kokrajhar. He is actively involved in academic administration, serving on the university's advisory board, and participating as a resource person for various national and international level seminars and webinars. We eagerly look forward to his insightful reflections on the theme of this seminar. I now request Sir to kindly deliver his address.
Actually, I was today, I think last moment I was invited by the authority to deliver some sort of lecture, and I was not prepared for that. And again, since the very theme of the seminar is about history only, I come to political science, so there is very close connection between the two. But still, there are lots of experts, the whole itself was from this history background. So here I will try to use the skills to the audience so that I can enter into the domain of history and political science. And while delivering my lecture yesterday, when I found that there is still some scope in the sub-theme of the seminar where I can enter into. Other than it's strictly history only and say freedom movement and resistance. So these two words where I can go into, one is resistance, that is the domain of political science to say I andolon kori bhal pao, and one is freedom movement. And yes, it's a long tradition, especially for the people of Northeast India. Then in the last week also, there is some sort of resistance for the biggest university in Northeast India and in Assam also, because of all this 4-year degree course and there is increase of this fees. So the resistance is very much there. It's always there for the last 500, 600 years till date. So I think that is the uniqueness of the people of Northeast India. So while dealing with Northeast India, definitely why Northeast India? So definitely come. And but before going into that, let me congratulate the college itself. And what I have found that this particular college of Dalgaon is one of the unique colleges in the sense that for the last 2 years they have already 3 national level seminars. It's a very outstanding achievement of the part of the college faculty of this particular college. And for that, I think special thanks must go to the honorable principal and the convener, Sundar Kumar Jyoti, and the principal itself. Even last year also, while I was carrying this college, we had a very unique theme of the rights in the age of artificial intelligence. So even today also, although what we have found for the last couple of years, that there is a renewed emphasis on the seminar about history, rewriting of history. I will not go into that in which way we are rewriting the history. There are lots of controversies also, but definitely there is a need. For example, even this Lasit Borphukan. So it's only for the last 10 years that people of mainland India they came to know about Lasit Borphukan. And because then we have that 400 years of Lasit Borphukan with celebrated in a big way. And it's also mentioned about that. And for the last couple of years, they were looking into that unknown heroes. Yes, we know very few heroes, but there are hundreds of unknown heroes. But in that way, the history is silent. I don't know who is writing the history, why they are writing in that way. For example, although I am not a student of history, for example, whenever we are talking about history of Assam, we are always talking about history of Ahom. But what about those Rajbanshis? It is totally out of the order. Since we are from Assam, so definitely we have some sort of soft corner about that, and we always think that yes, Assam history is always history of their homes, and they belong to so-called Upper Assam. So definitely there is a need to rewrite the history, to explore the unknown heroes of the whole freedom struggle and freedom movement. So in that context, I will be looking something about the very issue of resistance and why resistance in Northeast India. Northeast India is always known as the land of the where resistance takes place. Because say 10 years ago, whenever we went to that mainland India, so people are thinking that yes, I am coming from Assam, वहाँ alpha होता है ना. So it's like that everywhere in Assam in Northeast there are extremists, there are alpha or say there are NDFPs, auto extremists like that, always they have the feeling that yes, always there are some sort of resistance. So why Northeast India? Even Sir also mentioned about it. It's only because of the Britishers the very concept called Northeast India emerged. Because historically we were not part of Indian India. We were not part of that. If you see the map, you can see imagine the map. Northeast India is more linked with that South Asia or Southeast Asia. We have that historical linkage, civilizational linkages. But because of the Britishers, now we have a boundary, a land that can be termed as Northeast India. But again, unfortunately, because of this partition in 1947, again a large portion of Northeast India, that is present in Bangladesh, was no more part of that area. So in that context, the very issue of Northeast India, I am not talking into terms of historical linkages, is more and more prominent and crucial for us. Because today the whole Northeast India is connected only with a very small corridor called Siliguri corridor, second net. Only that just 20 kilometers, that corridor, we are linked with England India. So totally geographically and culturally, historically, we are totally different. And in that context, even we have a long history of resistance against the Britishers. No about the resistance, the freedom struggle, working and public sector, already mentioned about that, and all this, we have a very long list. But what after the independence? Even that is part of history. Although now we became, say, independent, but still the resistance, the movement is going on. And the movement, there are, say issues about the movements. There are insurgency movements, there are student movements, there are ethnic movements, ethnic conflict, inter-boundary, interstate boundary conflicts, even with the outside the countries also we have problem with Bangladesh, boundary issues are there, with say China, Arunachal, we have problem. So there are lots of issues still where we can talk about this resistance. We had a long that students movement, we had a long education called Assam education, we have ethnic conflict started in the late 80s, late 70s by Alpha, still that is going on. We had Boro conflict by DLP and NDLP. So the resistance is a continuous process in this very region called Northeast India. Till there is resistance in Money, we all know about that. But again today, the whole media and history is silent about what is going on in Money. That is quite unfortunate on our part. We have very little idea about what is going on in Money. We have conflict in Tripura between the indigenous tribal community and the so-called Bangladeshis. Because it is only after the independence of Bangladesh that the indigenous community in Tripura they became minority. And earlier they were 70%. Now they became less than 30%. And now they are just happy with one district council. Like what is happening in Assam. In Kandiar now they are happy with just one district council. In Kasa they are happy with just one district council. But we have a long history and that is still continuing of this resistance. We are resisting against the state. We are resisting against the dominant community. Suppose in Assam, again we have the very recent one is Ka movement, anti-Ka movement. We all know about that. I will not go detail into that because the whole issue is very controversial. Even last week, unfortunately, government of India awareness is that passport is no more a valid document. That means even passport holders say that I am in India. So you think about the other communities. We usually figure out that who is that other community. So what is their identity proof? Voter card is not the identity proof, PAN card is not the identity proof, and now even the passport is not the identity proof. So this resistance is going on, and they will go on. And here definitely Northeast India and particularly talking about Assam can can be a role model. Because resistance, there are again two types of resistance: peaceful and say, violent. So in case of that peaceful resistance, Assam can be cited as a role model. Because we have a very long history of that from 1985 onwards, the Assam movement. And it was ended in a peaceful way only. Even this Alpha also, there are two factions of Alpha, but still the majority there with talks in the government of India, and then they had some sort of agreement also. The DLP also they had some sort of agreement, NDP also they have some sort of agreement, PhD, Hima also they had some sort of agreements. So definitely in that way, Assam can be cited, can be quoted as a model where we can go for, we can go even against the state also, but definitely at the end, through negotiation, through agreements, we can give up. We can settle in a point where we can what we have already demanded, we can achieve that in that way. So in that way, the resistance, that is one way of, I think, looking into the whole issue of resistance. And you see, the conflict, as I already mentioned, it's an ongoing process. You cannot imagine a world without conflict. So it may be cultural conflict, political, economic, all sorts of conflicts. New forms of conflicts are coming up because of displacement, because of say, the form of having big dams, because of the forest area this area is diminishing. Maybe because of, because we have this four-lane highways, we have corridor in Kaziranga. So lots of people are displaced because of that. But they are indigenous people. Some may not have the proper documents. Definitely people will resist. People will resist against the existing government. It's not that we were resisted against the British colonial governments. Today we have our own governments. But the culture, it's continuous. As I mentioned, it's a continuous process and we will resist. The student community will definitely resist. Because now we cannot have a clear idea where we are moving towards. People are resisting against even this MEP 2020 also. There are lots of issues. Lots of issues are there. Definitely in the coming days also people will resist. Because the number of universities in Assam are coming up. Like anything. When government relaxed in the norms of establishing, say, private universities. Now it's quite easy, anybody can set up private universities in Assam. So in coming days, definitely students will resist. So the fees is increasing day by day. Because now today we are having more and more autonomous colleges. So when we are switching to autonomous colleges, then definitely we have to increase the fees. And definitely student community will oppose the move. So in that way, resistance is always an ongoing process, and unfortunately for the people of Northeast India, people of, in particular people of Assam, it's an ongoing process. You cannot just line up the ideas, these whole issues of neglect and say exploitation. The issue of exploitation is there, neglect is there, because of the regional imbalance, all these issues are there, definitely people will resist. So we have all this, historically we can, historians are there, we can identify that there are some ethnic conflicts, ethnic issues are there, among the ethnicity, ethnic groups, still these are going on. People in Assam are demanding autonomous status in the name of their ethnic identity only. So whenever we are having a particular area in the name of a particular community, definitely there will be lots of disturbances. For example, I was there in Bodoland for quite a long period. The very area is called Bodoland. So what is the meaning? It's a land of the Bodos. Then what about the other communities? So there is a problem in the very name itself. Rabha, Assam, Karbi, Anglong. communities, that land is for Agar, then what about the other communities? And fortunately or unfortunately, the other communities now they became majority. Overall, there are 70% are from other communities. Same happened in Raga area also, in Karbi Anglong also. Only few months back we heard about Karbis go back inside Karbi Anglong. So people are demanding 6 scheduled cities, some are getting, some are not getting, Ragas are not getting, Lalons are not getting, Timas are not getting, and some are asking for this ST status, Moran, Montauk, small communities, Sutias, they are not getting. Even the T-type communities, they are one of the biggest communities in Assam, but they are again the most exploited community and least developed communities in Assam. So definitely there will be Andolon. Andolon hoboy, there will be resistance. Who will go for Andolon? Those who are not getting anything, definitely they will protest. So in that way, since we have a very, for the last 300, 400 years, these community-wise, they are not getting. Unfortunately, for example, this Pose Rajbangshi, the very name suggests, they were Rajas, and now you see they are flying. Now they are demanding for at least one minister from our community. The Ahoms who ruled us for 600 years, now they are asking for, please provide us one minister from Ahom community. It's like they are going to get. Now they became OBC. You see, they became OBC. Ruled us for 600 years, now they became backward class. So there are some loopholes in the government policies. While there are loopholes in the government policies, definitely the people in the name of community, in the name of ethnicity, will resist. So in that way, we have a very long tradition of resisting the government policies. The Bodo still they are resisting. Why not? The Assamese, now we are going from that, what is there in our 6th Assam Agreement. Clause 6, we are demanding. Because there are evidence that in the coming days, we are going to be minority in our own state. What happened with Tripuris in Tripura? So definitely people will repeating again and again that why people are resisting and yes, there is a logic. So, but thankfully what I can already say that like it is very successful students union movement, Assam movement, and even such as group like the Alpha movement, it is almost the issue is almost not there. People are telling Myanmar. So, but the majority of they have come to the table and we have negotiated with the biggest community like the Bodos. They have negotiated successfully and they are getting their dues. And these are the role models to be followed, I think, by the other communities, other big groups in Northeast India, where through resistance, but in a peaceful way, where we can solve the particular problem. And then the big issues, but definitely there are these are the issues. Still there are issues which are concerned. For example, the new issues like developmental projects in the form of big dams. We have this forest area coverage decreasing day by day. And in the coming days we have the problem of climate change and global warming. These are linked. So whether we need development or we make that sustainable development. Why still there is problem in Manipur? We have no answer. And you see the apathy on the part of the central governments. Central governments are not very serious in solving the issues of Manipur. Why? Why? Because these are all these are clear numbers. In Uttar Pradesh we have 80 MP 6. And in Manipur, we have 2. So it cannot influence the national politics in any way. With just 2 MPs. But in UP, they have 80 MPs. So where you can set up the whole central government with 80 MPs. So that's why although there is protest and movement every day say for the last 2 years in Manipur is burning, but the central government is not taking any serious note. So that is the unfortunate way of looking into this Northeast India. In Mizoram also, these are very smaller states, Meghalaya, Tripura, Nagaland, even Arunachal. Except Assam, the other states, they have very little say, although they are resisting, still they are resisting. And yes, there are some good news also. Just last week, Blinkit, we know about Blinkit, it was resisted by the state government in Meghalaya itself. It's a very welcome step to say. Because if once the multi-resort operators are coming into North India, then what will happen to the indigenous communities? We are very small communities. We are not producing for the market. For self-sufficiency we are producing. But because of this, in the name of globalization, they are just destroying the whole, say, scenario of North India, where all voices are limited. So I think here I will stop because there are other people and basically from the background of history who can directly go into the very central of this seminar. And once again, I congratulate the always for inviting me and selecting such a genuine and interesting topic in the arena of history. And I think even the abstract is quite interesting. There are lots of people from diverse fields. Very attractive also with ISBN that will definitely help the scholars. Nowadays these are mandatory. And we are saying that we are presenting our paper. Some people are asking for the proof. Yes, now I have the proof. ISBN. So I request the committee to, if possible, to come up with a full paper publication in coming days. This I want to thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your focus on the subaltern within the subaltern was quite thought-provoking. Thank you for highlighting how complex the history of the region actually is. I am very sure that your lecture has ignited several new questions in the mind of our listeners. Moving ahead, it is my privilege to introduce our next resource person, Dr. Hemanta Sharma. With almost 16 years of experience in teaching, Dr. Hemanta Sharma, an assistant professor in the Department of SMS, North Lakhimpur University, has contributed immensely in the field of literature in this region and has been actively engaged in various scholarly activities. We look forward to his insightful lecture. I invite Dr. Hemanta Sharma to kindly deliver his speech.
নমস্কার। সরকার আমন্ত্রিত বিশিষ্ট ব্যক্তিসকল, উপস্থিত অতিথিবৃন্দ, প্ৰথমতে মই এই আলোচনা চক্ৰৰ আয়োজক এই মহাবিদ্যালয়ৰ অধ্যক্ষ সমন্বয়কে উদ্যানপূৰ্বক ধন্যবাদ জনাইছোঁ। কাৰণ যিটো বিষয় তেওঁলোকে আজি আলোচনাৰ মজিয়ালৈ লৈ আহিছে অতি গুৰুত্বপূৰ্ণ বিষয়। কাৰণ ইতিহাস চেতনাটো আমাৰ অতিকৈ প্ৰয়োজন আৰু বিশেষকৈ সৰ্বভাৰতীয় পৰ্যায়ত অসম গ্ৰন্থ যিটো আমি জনাটো প্ৰয়োজন। ইতিমধ্যে উপৰোক্ত বক্তাসকলে যথেষ্ট তত্ত্বগধুৰ বক্তব্য দাঙি ধৰিছে আৰু আমি যথেষ্ট কথা শিকিছোঁ। আমি বিশেষ নাজানো, শিকি আছোঁ, জানিবলৈ চেষ্টা কৰি আছোঁ। মই সাহিত্যত, অসমীয়া সাহিত্যত ভাৰতীয় স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনৰ প্ৰতিফলন কেনেধৰণে ঘটিছিল এই দিশটোক চমুকৈ আলোকপাত কৰিবলৈ চেষ্টা কৰিম।
স্থানলৈ গৈ সাহিত্য তথা পৰিৱেশ কলাৰ মাধ্যমেৰে অতি সহজতে মানুহক আকৰ্ষিত, প্ৰভাৱিত, অনুপ্ৰাণিত কৰিবলৈ সক্ষম হৈছে। ঠিক তেনেধৰণে ভাৰতৰ স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনৰ ক্ষেত্ৰখনত গীত, কবিতা, নাটক আদি পৰিৱেশ কলাকে প্ৰমুখ উপন্যাস, চুটিগল্প আদি বিভিন্ন মাধ্যমেৰে ভাৰতীয় স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনৰ প্ৰতিফলন ঘটা আমি দেখা পাওঁ। ভাৰতীয় স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনলৈ অসমীয়াৰ অৱদান বা বৰঙণি আমি প্ৰতিষ্ঠা কৰা দেখা পাওঁ। আমি প্ৰথমতে সাহিত্য বুলি ক'লে আটাইতকৈ প্ৰথমতে আমি নাম ল'ব লাগিব লোকসাহিত্য। কিন্তু মানুহৰ মুখে মুখে প্ৰচলিত হৈ আহিছে। লিখিত পৰ্যায়ত পোৱাৰ আগতেই মানুহৰ মুখে মুখে যিখিনি সাহিত্য সৃষ্টি হৈছিল, এই সাহিত্যটো কিন্তু ভাৰতীয় স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনৰ বহুখিনি প্ৰতিফলন ঘটা আমি দেখা পাওঁ। নামনি অসমত কামৰূপে ঢুলীয়া নাট লোক পৰিৱেশিত কৰা আৰু সেই ঢুলীয়া নাটত সামাজিক ৰাজনৈতিক ব্যৱস্থাৰ বিৰুদ্ধে এক প্ৰকাৰ প্ৰতিবাদৰ প্ৰতিফলন ঘটা পৰিলক্ষিত হৈছিল। আৰু ব্ৰিটিছ শাসন ব্যৱস্থা, জমিদাৰ মৌজাদাৰ কাৰ্যাৱলী তীব্ৰভাৱে ব্যংগ কৰি এই লোক নাট্যানুষ্ঠান পৰিলক্ষিত হৈছিল। নামনি অসম আৰু গোৱালপাৰা অঞ্চলত প্ৰচলিত বিভিন্ন লোকগীত, পালা, গান আদিৰ মাজতো স্বদেশান্দোলন আৰু ব্ৰিটিছ শাসনৰ প্ৰতি অৱজ্ঞা ফুটি উঠিছিল। এইখিনি সাধাৰণ মানুহ, অনাগৰিক মানুহ, খাটি খোৱা মানুহ, এইখিনি মানুহৰ মাজত শাসনতন্ত্ৰৰ বিৰুদ্ধে প্ৰতিবাদ প্ৰতিফলিত হৈছিল। তেওঁৰ গীত মাতৰ যোগেদি সেই প্ৰতিবাদ ফুটাই তুলিছিল। তাৰপিছত আহিলে অসমৰ যিবিলাক চৰিত্ৰ ভাৰতৰ স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনত দিছিল, সেই চৰিত্ৰক কেন্দ্ৰ কৰি কিছুমান গীত ৰচনা হৈছিল। মণিৰাম দেৱানৰ গীত, মণিৰাম দেৱানৰ বলিদানক কেন্দ্ৰ কৰি মানুহৰ মুখে মুখে কিছুমান গীত প্ৰচলন হৈছিল। ইয়া কঁঠালৰ হিয়া ঐ মণিৰাম, ইয়া কঁঠালৰ হিয়া, মণিৰাম দেৱানক ফাঁচিত তুলিলে মাকে ধৰিলে হিয়া। এই ধৰণে মানুহৰ মাজত বহুত গীত আছে। মই এটা নমুনা চালিকে আপোনালোকৰ লগত দাঙি ধৰিবলৈ চেষ্টা কৰিছোঁ। ঠিক তেনেধৰণে হলকম চাহাবৰ গীত বুলি প্ৰকাৰ গীতৰ প্ৰচলন হৈছিল। কাছ কাটি পেলাবৰ চলম লগৰীয়া, কাছ কাটি পেলাবৰ চলম, শালকম, আমাৰ মুখত হলকম চাহাবটো নুফুটি শালকম হ'লগৈ। শালকম চাহাবক আৱৰিয়ে কাটিলে, জিহিনত বন্ধালে দম। ঠিক তেনেধৰণে ফুলগুৰিত সেৱাৰ যিটো ঐতিহাসিক ঘটনা, সেই তাক লৈ গীত ৰচনা হৈছিল। গীত লিখিত গীত নহয়, লোক সাহিত্য মানুহৰ মুখে মুখে প্ৰচলন হৈছিল সেই গীতবিলাক। ফুলগুৰিত সেৱাৰ গীততো হেৰ মণিৰাম ফুলগুৰিৰ সেৱাখন, হেৰ মণিৰাম কেনেকৈ লাগিলে, নল দুম বাহু দুম সদপত মৰিলে, হেৰ মণিৰাম লাখুটি ধৰিলে, কাকুতি ধৰিলে। মানুহৰ মাজে মাজে প্ৰচলন হৈ তেনেকুৱা গীত। ঠিক তেনেধৰণে পাথৰি ঘাটৰ ৰঙৰ গীত, ৰঙিয়াৰ কৃষক বিদ্ৰোহৰ গীত, আকৌ গান্ধীৰ গীত বুলি এক প্ৰকাৰ গীতৰ প্ৰচলন হৈছিল। গান্ধীৰ বাৰীতে মানিকী মাধুৰী তোক ভৰি ভৰি লাগে, ইবেলি গান্ধী ফাটেকুক নাযাবা, ৰাইজক ৰাখিব লাগে। এই গীতবিলাক বেছি জনপ্ৰিয় হৈছে। মানুহক স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনৰ প্ৰতি আকৰ্ষিত কৰিবৰ বাবে এই গীতবিলাকে স্বতঃস্ফূৰ্তভাৱে এক পৰিমণ্ডলৰ ৰচনা কৰিছিল। তাৰপিছত আমি আমাৰ লিখিত সাহিত্য, কবিতা, গীত, যেতিয়া ভাৰতীয় জাতীয় কংগ্ৰেছৰ মহাসভা অসমত হৈছিল, ভাৰতৰ বিভিন্ন ৰাজ্যৰ পৰা প্ৰতিনিধি আহিছিল। তেওঁলোকক আদৰিবৰ বাবে অম্বিকাগিৰি ৰায়চৌধুৰীয়ে এটা গীত ৰচনা কৰিছিল। আজি বন দুটি চন্দ্ৰেৰে সমাগত বীৰ নৰ নাৰায়ণৰ। এই গীতটোত পোনপটীয়াভাৱে স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনৰ প্ৰতিফলন নাই যদিও কাৰণ গীতটোৰ মাজেৰে অন্তঃসলীলা ফলবোৰ ধাৰাৰ দৰে এই স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনৰ প্ৰতি এটা সমৰ্থন প্ৰতিফলিত হৈছিল আৰু আটাইতকৈ ডাঙৰ বা আটাইতকৈ প্ৰভাৱশালী ব্যক্তিজন আছিল এই ক্ষেত্ৰত সাহিত্যিকজন আছিল জ্যোতিপ্ৰসাদ আগৰৱালা। তেওঁ গীত আৰু কবিতাৰ মাজে সুৰ বাহিনী গঠন কৰিছিল, ব্ৰিটিছৰ বিৰুদ্ধে বিভিন্ন ধৰণৰ প্ৰতিবাদ কৰিছিল, আহ্বান জনাইছিল। তেওঁ কবিতাত লিখিছিল 42ৰ পুৱা জ্বলিলে তেজত জুই, মৃত্যু বিজয়ী গাঁৱৰ জীয়ৰী তৃপ্ত কদপতাৰ দুপুত তেজেৰে লিখে উলিয়াই জয় ভাৰতৰ জয়। তেওঁ ভিক্ষাৰী গীত বুলি এটা কবিতাটো আছিল। অসীম সামন্তক স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনৰ মূল ৰং শিঙা হিচাপে প্ৰচাৰ কৰিবলৈ এই ভিক্ষাৰী গীত কবিতাটোত আমি দেখা পাওঁ। ঠিক তেনেধৰণে গীতবিলাক বিশ্ববিজয়ী নৱজোৱান, জাগা জননীৰ সন্তান, লুইতৰ পাৰলে আমি ডেকা ল'ৰা, তাতো আহ্বানেই জনাইছে আমি আগে বাঢ়ি ডিঙি পাতি পাতি তেজেৰে পলি হ'ল গ্ৰামে বোলাই। গতিকে এই গীতবিলাকে বিভিন্ন ধৰণে প্ৰভাৱিত কৰিছিল। অম্বিকাগিৰি ৰায়চৌধুৰীৰ বহুতো গীত আছিল। বিষ্ণুপ্ৰসাদ ৰাভাৰ গীতত পোনপটীয়াকৈ প্ৰতিফলন নঘটিলেও কিন্তু প্ৰতিবাদৰ ধাৰাটোৱে বিভিন্ন ধৰণে মানুহক প্ৰভাৱিত কৰিছিল আৰু ভূপেন হাজৰিকাই এই সময়ছোৱাত অগ্নিযুগ বুলি অভিহিত কৰি অতি কম বয়সতে ৰচনা কৰিছিলে অগ্নিযুগৰ বিলিঙতি মই নতুন অসমলৈ। আৰু পৰৱৰ্তী সময়ত দেশে স্বাধীনতা লাভ কৰাৰ পিছতো স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনৰ উপৰি বিভিন্ন গীত তেওঁ ৰচনা কৰিছিল। ঠিক তেনেধৰণে প্ৰসন্নলাল চৌধুৰীয়ে জয়যাত্ৰা, নেতাজী সুভাষ, কনকলতা তুমি নাযাবা আদি কবিতাৰ জৰিয়তে স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনৰ প্ৰতিফলন ঘটিছিল। ঠিক তেনেধৰণে অসমীয়া উপন্যাস আৰু চুটিগল্প, বিশেষভাৱে উপন্যাসত বীৰেন্দ্ৰ কুমাৰ ভট্টাচাৰ্যৰ মৃত্যুঞ্জয় উপন্যাস জ্ঞানপীঠ বঁটা পাবলৈও সক্ষম হৈছিল। ভাৰতীয় স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনৰ প্ৰতিফলন উপন্যাসত দেখা যায়। যোগেশ দাসৰ গাঁৱৰ ন্যায় উপন্যাসখনৰ দ্বিতীয় বিশ্বযুদ্ধৰ পটভূমি ৰচিত হৈছিল যদিও একাংশ ৰাজনৈতিক কৰ্মীৰ সহস্ৰ বিদ্ৰোহৰ মানসিকতা আৰু গান্ধীজীৰ অহিংস আন্দোলনৰ প্ৰতিফলন সেই উপন্যাসখনতো আমি দেখা পাওঁ। ঠিক তেনেধৰণে শেহতীয়াভাৱে ৰচিত বংগ বিভাজনৰ পটভূমিত নন্দিতা দেৱীয়ে লিখিছিল বনৰ বহুতো, সেই উপন্যাসখনতো আমি স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনৰ প্ৰতিফলন দেখা পাওঁ। লক্ষীধৰ বৰ্মাৰ চুটিগল্পত স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনৰ প্ৰতিফলন আমি দেখা পাওঁ। আৰু কেইবাখনো জীৱনীমূলক উপন্যাস, জ্যোতিপ্ৰসাদৰ জীৱন আধাৰিত পৰিয়ালৰ আগবঢ়াই যাত্ৰা, ৰূপতীৰ্থৰ যাত্ৰী, বিষ্ণুপ্ৰসাদ ৰাভাৰ জীৱন আধাৰিত উপন্যাস ফেৰেংগা গাঁও, কনকলতাৰ জীৱন আধাৰিত উপন্যাস মৃত্যু গছকি আমাৰ জয়ী, এই সকলোবিলাকতে ভাৰতৰ স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনৰ প্ৰতিফলন আমি দেখা পাওঁ। আৰু নাটক এটা পৰিবেশ্য কলা, এই নাটকৰ যোগেদি স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনৰ বিভিন্ন দিশৰ প্ৰতিফলন ঘটিছিল। প্ৰথম পৰ্যায়ত ৰচনা কৰা আধুনিক ঐতিহাসিক নাটকসমূহত অসমৰ ঐতিহ্য, অসমৰ বীৰ বীৰাংগনাৰ গৌৰৱ গাথা আছিল, জয়মতীক কেন্দ্ৰ কৰি আছিল। তাৰ পৰৱৰ্তী পৰ্যায়ত যিবিলাক নাটক আমি দেখিলোঁ, উত্তম বৰুৱা আৰু সুৰেন্দ্ৰনাথ শইকীয়াই ৰচনা কৰা কুশল কোঁৱৰ নামৰ নাটক, শ্বহীদ কুশল কোঁৱৰৰ জীৱনৰ ত্যাগক লৈ সাৰ্থক ঐতিহাসিক নাটক ৰচনা হৈছে। মণিৰাম দেৱান, প্ৰবীণ ফুকনে ৰচনা কৰিছিল মণিৰাম দেৱান নাটক, চিপাহী বিদ্ৰোহৰ পটভূমি, জ্যোতিপ্ৰসাদৰ লভিতা নাটক। কথাখিনি অকণমান চমুকে কৈ যাবলগীয়া হৈছে, সংক্ষেপে ক'বলগীয়া হৈছে। অধ্যক্ষ মহোদয়ে এটা ইংগিত ইতিমধ্যে দি গ'ল। ইয়াৰ বাহিৰেও নগাঁও নাট্য সমাজ পিয়লি ফুকন নামৰ এখন নাট ৰচনা কৰিছিল। নাট্যকাৰৰ নাম নাই, নগাঁও নাট্য সমাজ বুলি আছে। অতুল চন্দ্ৰ হাজৰিকা, টিকেন্দ্ৰজী, আকৌ 1894 বুলি দেৱেন্দ্ৰনাথ শৰ্মাই পথৰুঘাটৰ ৰণৰ আধাৰত এখন নাটক ৰচনা কৰিছিল। ডাক্তৰ দীনেশ শৰ্মাই তেজে ধোৱা জালিয়ানা বালাবাগ বুলি এখন লিখিছিলে। যুগল দাসে 1857 বুলি এখন নাটক লিখিছিলে, চিপাহী বিদ্ৰোহৰ আধাৰত। আমি এই কথাবিলাক, যদিও নাটকবিলাক সকলো নাটক হয়তো বিচাৰি পোৱা নাযাব পাৰে, কিন্তু আমাৰ সাহিত্যিকসকলেও যে, নাট্যকাৰসকলে, কবিসকলে যে অকুণ্ঠ সমৰ্থন আগবঢ়াইছিল, মানুহক প্ৰভাৱিত কৰিবলৈ চেষ্টা কৰিছিল, এই কথাখিনি মন কৰিবলগীয়া। উত্তম বৰুৱাই গুণ্ঠৰ কোঁৱৰ বুলি এখন লিখিছিলে। ভৱেন বৰুৱাই কনকলতা, বীৰেন্দ্ৰ কুমাৰ ভট্টাচাৰ্যই কুশল কোঁৱৰ, অতুল চন্দ্ৰ হাজৰিকাৰ আহুতি, অজস্ৰ সাহিত্য ৰচনা হৈছিল। গৱেষণাৰ ফল আছে এই দিশবিলাকত, এই নাটকবিলাকত গৱেষণাৰ যথেষ্ট ফল আছে। ইয়াৰ পিছতে আহোঁ আমি চলচ্চিত্ৰলৈ। অসমীয়া চলচ্চিত্ৰটো স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনৰ প্ৰেৰণ বিভিন্ন সময়ত ধৰা আমি দেখা পাওঁ। 1950 চনত দেশে স্বাধীনতা লাভ কৰাৰ পিছত বিপ্লৱী নামৰ এখন চিনেমা নিৰ্মাণ হৈছিল। দেশৰ স্বাধীনতাৰ ঐতিহাসিক অধ্যায় হিচাপে পৰিগণিত ভাৰত ত্যাগ আন্দোলনৰ পটভূমিত নিৰ্মাণ কৰা এখন প্ৰথম অসমীয়া চিনেমা। নগাঁও নিবাসী অসিত সেনৰ পৰিচালনাৰে নিৰ্মিত এই ছবিখন ভূপেন হাজৰিকাই কণ্ঠদান কৰিছিলে। আমি তেজাল গাঁৱলীয়া, ইয়ে ঐতিহাসিক সম্পদ হিচাপে বিবেচিত হৈ ৰ'ব। তাৰ পিছতে ফণী শৰ্মাই, নটসূৰ্য ফণী শৰ্মাই 1955 চনত পিয়লি ফুকন নামৰ এখন বোলছবি নিৰ্মাণ কৰিছিল। সৰ্বভাৰতীয় ৰাষ্ট্ৰীয় বঁটা লাভ কৰা এইখন প্ৰথম অসমীয়া চলচ্চিত্ৰ আছিল। 1964 চনত সৰ্বেশ্বৰ চক্ৰৱৰ্তীয়ে মনিৰাম দেৱান নামৰ এখন বোলছবি নিৰ্মাণ কৰিছে। এই বোলছবিখন প্ৰবীণ ফুকন আৰু বেলুধন শৰ্মাৰ তথ্যৰ আধাৰত তেওঁলোকে লিখা ৰচনা কৰা বিভিন্ন বুৰঞ্জীমূলক নাটক বা সাহিত্যৰ আধাৰত এই চলচ্চিত্ৰখন নিৰ্মাণ কৰিছিল। আৰু সেই মনিৰাম দেৱান চলচ্চিত্ৰখনতে ভূপেন হাজৰিকাই বুকু হম হম কৰে মোৰ গীতটি প্ৰদৰ্শন কৰিছিল। 1998 চনত নিৰ্মাণ কৰা আৰু 2001 চনত মুক্তি লাভ কৰা দেশৰ স্বাধীনতা আন্দোলনৰ পটভূমিত নিৰ্মাণ কৰা জাহ্নু বৰুৱাই অতি সচেতনভাৱে নিৰ্মাণ কৰা এখন চলচ্চিত্ৰ আছিল কুশল। এইখনেও অসমীয়া ভাষাৰ শ্ৰেষ্ঠ চলচ্চিত্ৰ ৰাষ্ট্ৰীয় বঁটা লাভ কৰিবলৈ সক্ষম হৈছিল। কুশল দ্য প্ৰাইজ অফ ফ্ৰীডম। গতিকে মই প্ৰতিযোগী উলটিয়াই গ'লোঁ আৰু ইতিমধ্যে এবষ্ট্ৰেক্টখন দেখিলোঁ। যিখিনি এবষ্ট্ৰেক্ট আহিছে তাত বিভিন্ন দিশৰ গভীৰ আলোকপাত কৰাৰ ফল আছে। নিশ্চয় কৰিব গৱেষকসকলে। আমি নাজানো, আমিও শিকি আছোঁ, আপোনালোকৰ পৰা শিকিম, পিছৰ শব্দবিলাকো শিকিম। আৰু ইতিমধ্যে সমল ব্যক্তিসকলে বহুতো গুৰুত্বপূৰ্ণ কথা কৈ গ'ল আৰু শুনিব লগা আছে, শুনিম। যিহেতু সময়ৰ অকণমান নাটনি হৈছে, সেইবাবে মই ইমানতে মোৰ আলোচনা সত্ৰখনৰ সামৰণি মাৰিছোঁ। আপোনালোকৰ পৰা পৰৱৰ্তী সময়ত দিহা পৰামৰ্শ লাভ কৰিম বুলি আশা ৰাখিলোঁ। ধন্যবাদ।
Thank you, sir. We are grateful to you for showing us how to look at history from the lens of literature. Such interdisciplinary approaches, which are the need of the hour, are much important for a seminar that celebrates the region like this. now introduce our next resource person of this seminar, Dr. Indrani Kolita, an esteemed academician. With 13 years of teaching experience, Dr. Indrani Kolita is an assistant professor in the Department of Education at Pandikol State Open University. She has successfully coordinated many massive open online courses and organized many national seminars and workshops on educational policy. In addition to this, she has also published a number of articles in regional, national and international journals, edited volumes, seminar proceedings, etc. I now invite Dr. Indrani Kolita to kindly deliver the lecture.
Thank you so much. First of all, very good afternoon to all the dignitaries present here. It is actually very difficult to speak from here when many remote persons already speak regarding the topic which is presented. They have already mentioned what is there in our history and what is reflected and what is to be reflected. So my point is, I'll take very few minutes, or I'll take very short span of time to just highlight from the part of education, because I'm being an department from the education. I should, it will be injustice if I don't reflect the educationists who have also contributed in the freedom struggle, because education is also such a part which is, we can say, neglected. When we study regarding the points of freedom struggle, only the persons who have fought with a great heart, they are then known to all. But some persons who have also contributed by providing education to the people in the grassroots level, they are being neglected. So, in this context, I was supposed to present many things. I have also sent my presentation to Sonam. Then again I said no, not required, because if we say, we can say from our own words, the topic is such, because we have to revisit the Northeast contribution. And highlighting one specific example, I want to say that this is indeed an honor. This is the second time I am standing here with the family of Pandit Deen College. See, here, the things which I want to say, that being a faculty from Krishnakanta Henry State Open University, he is the one topmost contributor from education, we can say, and also, if we see his contribution in the field of education, right from Northeast to the national and international level. So that is being remain unmarked, we can say, because many people, see, even you see when you say that where you work, I am working in Krishnakanta Henry State Open University. People say which university? That is the fact. Means the person who is with such a great education, is such a great person. Students in the present era, they don't know even who is Krishnakanta Henry State or Krishnakanta Henry. So that is the thing which the new researcher from the field of history should see, the contributors or the people. So I want to say one more thing. Our university, the name which is from a renowned educationist, we have also taken such kind of initiative. Why I want to reflect? Because this is the way which the young researchers can do some work. We have tried to reflect some things like all university, all colleges, departments. But in our university, we thought to rename our departments with the name of those renowned educationists and the contributors. That's why we have the Department of Social Science. That is under the name of Surya Kumar Mia School of Social Science. That means people will always know. When someone will see what the Department of Social Science, they will have to know about Surya Kumar Mia. Who is he? This is a small initiative. Again, we say we are from the Department of Education. But where? What is education? The contribution of Indira Mini. You see, That's why we have given our university, our department name, which is ringing in 2015, that is Indira Gandhi School of Education, because we have contributed immensely in the field of education for the community, tribal community people. Again, we know Maniram Dewan, he is also related with the freedom struggle. We have a department that is Maniram Dewan School of Management. So all the renowned people, so that people because we have a learner from different backgrounds, different age, people when they will come to know about the university programs, they will at least have a look of those renowned personalities who have contributed to the Northeast in an immense way. So these are the things, and being a key person from education, I want to reflect one thing, because here the people from history, scholars from history are also there. There are many people, sir, there are many women who are remaining underrated or unmarked, but they are doing immense work from the part of history. I want to give an example, like a lady from that is Yanu Jamon. I think all of you know her. That is, she's I may not be some people. She is also Padma Shri awarded. I came to know in a very recent days that she got the Padma Shri in 2024. When my this sister, she got a disease of cyst in her ovary. That from many reels and videos we are seeing, then we came to know about this lady, that is Joma Lego. She's from Arunachal. You know, she's such an activist. Herbal means she's also known as Queens of Herbs. She have done such type of immense work which is not being marked in any book or any kind of Google box, you know. And the main thing is that when we talk about history, that is the oral history. When my sister went there, she just talked with her. That is oral history, I want to say. She just talked with her. Then she came to know that that practice is being done by her father itself. And she had learned, though she had formal degree and her father don't, but he used to treat those freedom struggle people who were injured at that time with those herbal medicines. So in and around, he was also a person related to freedom struggle. So these are some of the examples which have actually been not marked by people, and these are not known by the people. Besides, there are many such people, like I want to say, our SMS people, like Shakuntola Sodri. Shakuntola Sodri, she is a Gandhian and very social worker, and she has also devoted her life for socio-economic welfare of women and children. She is also Padma Shri awarded, but people don't know about her, and that's why this is a very good platform where all the paper presenters and the young scholars who can write some articles regarding these people who are not being marked in any kind of book for their works, but they are doing very immense work in the field of development, in not only freedom movement during independence, but yes, they are also continuing and after independence. So that like Kamal Prabha Das, Chandra Prabha Swatyani Paido, so that are not being marked in any kind of book. So these are the things which are not active. These are dormant. People know it, but not popularized. But how can these things be popularized among the young generations, among the young people? If we can conduct such kind of seminars, we can write papers, we can write articles, and most important, if I am not wrong, sir, like interdisciplinary work. If we can work together, discipline like education and history, like sociology, work together, then we can have different mindset. We can work together, we can bring some underrooted things to the people of not only of Assam, but as Sir has already, Rajiv Pandit Sir has already mentioned, this have to be given to the upper level so that people can come to know that what people of Assam, what people of Northeast, Arunachal, Nagaland, There are many people, renowned people. People don't know what they are doing. We have, as a researcher, as a newcomers, as a young learners, we should reflect in our writing, through our writing, to the different platform, so that people can come to know about the Northeast. And then only I think the seminar topic, that is, if we conduct such kind of seminar, because we have to give the output. What is the output of the seminar? If we can give such writings, in that only we can revisit the Northeast contribution in a broader context. Not only contribution of the, I think, this is my perspective, so I may be wrong, not only contribution of the freedom struggle persons, but also the persons who are not marked but are doing so many things. So that should be pointed out, and that should be highlighted through our writings and papers. And with this, I would like to thank all the organizers, our college principal, who have given me the opportunity to present at least a few words, because I have a session also tomorrow. There I can elaborately take the things, but they have given me the opportunity to present my few words regarding this seminar. So with this, thank you to all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. It was indeed very refreshing to hear from you, the perspective of an educationist on the theme of this seminar. Thank you for highlighting the role of educationists in the construction and reconstruction of the history of this region. We have now come to a formal ending of the inaugural ceremony and the plenary session. I would like to formally thank the august gathering present here, esteemed dignitaries, distinguished invited speakers, presenters and participants of this seminar, esteemed colleagues of mine and dear students. I welcome you all to join us for lunch, and we shall reassemble in the seminar hall by 2 p.m. for the upcoming technical session. But before we disperse, I would again like to thank each and everyone involved in this program, and thank you for making this a grand success. Thank you, and see you at 2 p.m.
Jam
Gracias.